Well, here I am in Jerusalem, finally after so many years of waiting to be here. This is the holy city and really the center of the universe. This is the most sacred spot on earth for Jews and for Christians, and the third most sacred spot for Muslims. Scholars don't really know what the name Jerusalem means, but I think in the Bible, Jeru means to struggle for, to strive for, and Salem, of course, means peace. And I think that more than anything defines this little city that for thousands of years has just been constantly striving and struggling for peace. Just 100 years ago, it would have been hard to believe that what the prophets predicted in the Bible thousands of years ago would be coming true. This city today is at the center of world conflict. Israel is surrounded on all sides by enemies that want to destroy her, and she doesn't have a lot of friends in the world right now. And someday, probably very soon, all of human history is going to culminate in this one spot and reach a very dramatic climax. And it really all comes down to this building, and in particular what's inside of it. This is called the Dome of the Rock, and it's a Muslim shrine that's been sitting on this spot on the Temple Mount for the last 1,400 years, and it's protecting something very important inside. And I would say out of everything in Israel, this is really my number one goal, is to try to get inside the Dome of the Rock, but unfortunately non-Muslims haven't been allowed since about 2007 to enter the Dome. So I do have a plan, nothing too crazy, but tomorrow morning I'm going to make an attempt to get inside, and we'll see what happens. But place your bets now.
لا إله إلا الله وحدوه بدل إن شاء الله ما وين حقك على تعال تعال طب ليش أنت تستفيد؟
And here's the Church of the Holy Sepulchre. One that's to be my first stop.
Нет, когда последний.
This is the spot where they say that Jesus was actually crucified. They say on this exact spot of ground here. It's protected by glass, of course. Wow, this place is amazing. Wow. Such an old church. I believe that this version of the church was built by the Crusaders, so this church is about 1,000 years old. Just amazing. It's controlled by 5 different religious groups. Greek Orthodox, Armenian Orthodox. I'll have to look at my notes. But a lot of people here just checking it out like me, and then a lot of worshipers here. I just realized when I'm filming here, this is the tomb of Jesus. This is where he was buried and then 3 days later resurrected. Long line to go in. Wow. I believe this is the real thing too.
Jacket. Come on, put come on. Madam, take it put down, please.
So. No photo, please. Keep writing, please.
Again, this is the tomb of Christ.
Okay, please.
He was buried for 3
Okay,
days
go.
and resurrected.
Stop, please. Okay, we hold the register.
What? Excuse me. What is this stone?
Stone for Angie.
I didn't catch that.
Okay, go.
Stone that it was in front of the tomb of Jesus.
Oh, okay. I see.
Stone, yeah.
Oh, I see. Okay, just a piece of it, obviously.
Okay, please finish. Come out. Excuse me, quickly. Excuse me. Excuse me, please come out. Gorgi,
Yeah,
what we miss? All goes fine.
yeah.
This son, come out. Okay, go inside. Please go inside. Excuse me, forget photo. You want photo for studio, not here.
Thank you. This is the shelf that his body was placed on. This is where he was resurrected from the dead. It's amazing. Wow. And the guy doesn't like photos in here, and that's why I've got to continue its running video. Breaking the rules, sorry.
Okay, please. Something must be about to happen. People are gathering.
this is. This is the locking of the door. Gentleman here just told me. Thank you. Yeah, I remember reading about that. That again, this was a Crusaders church when the Muslims took over. Oh, here we go. When the Muslims reconquered Jerusalem in 1187, Saladin, who was in charge of the Muslims, he allowed them to keep the church, the Christian church, because they venerate Christ as a great prophet. So they were respectful toward the Christians. They didn't destroy the church, but they gave the keys to a Muslim family because, again, 5 different Christian sects compete for control of the church, and the Muslims keep the order and keep the peace. And there's actually 2 families. There was a second family added during the Ottoman Empire, and now to this day the Muslims still have the keys. So when the time comes, they're going to lock the doors here. More people going in for the night.
Right?
Uh-oh, ladder's back. Wow, look at that. Good ceremony.
Okay.
And that's it. Good job. And that's it. The sepulchre is closed for the night. This is the western wall, what the Jews call the kotel, and for what many centuries Westerners referred to as the Wailing Wall, because they'd come here and they'd see Jews lined up and crying and weeping over the destruction of their temple, which occurred almost 2,000 years ago, just after the time of Christ, just as Jesus had predicted in Matthew chapter 24. He said not one stone would be left upon another, and sure enough, in 70 AD, the Romans came in and they tore down the temple, and obviously a very, very painful time for the Jews to lose that. For about the last 1,400 years, this has been the only exposed area, remaining area that the Jews could actually get to after the Muslim conquest in 638 AD. When the Muslims came in and conquered Jerusalem, they started to add layers to the Temple Mount wall, which hid most of the wall from the Temple period. Just this and one other tiny section over the Muslim border were left exposed. But just in the last 20 years, just in my lifetime and our generation, major excavations have taken place in this direction. It's called the Southern Wall, and of course I'll be going to visit that. And then tonight I have an appointment to tour the Western Wall tunnels, which is an underground system that goes all the way along the length of the Temple Mount underground. And so much more of the Temple Mount has been exposed from the Temple period. One thing I notice here is not a whole lot of weeping and crying anymore here. There seems to be a lot of joy and happiness. And as we know, Israel has been reborn as a state. And I think that the Jews just greatly sense that they're being reconciled to their Father. And the temple hasn't been rebuilt yet, but more on that later. They have the Western Wall segregated, of course. Here's the ladies section for praying. Some women sneaking a look into the men's section. I'm headed away from the western wall now, headed up into the Jewish quarter. Haven't been up in here yet. And going to meet with the Temple Institute. I have a private tour arranged. Very much looking forward to this. I would say this is one of my top 3 destinations by far coming here. The Temple Institute is in this direction, and again, one of my top 3 destinations here in Israel, without a doubt. This organization, along with support from the government and hundreds of the top rabbis in the country, are working to recreate everything needed for the service of the Third Temple. So they're preparing for the rebuilding of the Jewish temple. Huge, huge issue. And here it is, the Temple Institute. Yippee. Really been wanting to visit this place.
So my name is Atara. I'd like to welcome you to the Temple Institute. Now at the Temple Institute we have 3 goals. Our first goal is we try to learn and research all about the vessels, the garments, the offerings, the entire time period. Then we try to pass that information on to kids, to adults, people living in Israel, out of Israel, to really raise everyone's awareness of the temple. We really believe that the more people hear about the temple, the more they're going to ask questions, the more they're really going to want the temple to be rebuilt. That's another of our missions. Thirdly, we try to prepare the vessels for the Third Temple. Everything that we have behind glass, all these vessels that you're going to see today, all these vessels have been prepared for use in the Third Temple. Have all been built as specified in the Bible and in the Talmud. These are products of years of research done here by Rabbi Ariel and all the other rabbis here. And they were built just like they were built in the First and in the Second Temples. So whenever we're talking today about what happened in the time of the Second Temple, we're really going to talk also about what's going to happen in the Third Temple. Because what happened then will again happen in the Third Temple. Again, all the materials that we see here, the gold, the silver, everything is real for use in the Third Temple. Now, when the Third Temple is going to be rebuilt, there's only going to be one group of people who will be allowed to work in the temple. They are the priests.
That's the Kohanim?
The Kohanim, yes. Here stands the ordinary Kohen, here on the right. He has 4 garments, and only 4 garments. He has the trousers. We can't quite see the trousers. They only reach his knee. And on top he wears a robe. On his head is a turban. And on his waist, we have the belt. Now, all of these garments are made from linen. You can feel this linen, just like it says in the Bible, linen. One of our preparations for the Third Temple is we prepare these garments for ordinary priests. They can come in, have them measured. It's not too baggy, not too tight. It's not respectable to wear these garments. The garments that are too baggy or too tight in the temple.
Excuse me, how many priests have already come to be fitted for their garments and purchase their garments?
Unfortunately not too many, because this costs about 800 shekel. It takes about a year to make one set of garments like this.
Wow.
Some that's waiting for the Third Temple, their anticipation, they can buy these garments, which is easy enough because we know today who the priests are. We managed to keep the tradition since Aaron, the first priest, until today. Also, do you have any friends named Kohen or Khan?
No, but I know that, I know that.
That in Hebrew was priest. So just like the surname goes by the male lineage, so does the priestly heritage. And there was also DNA research being done recently, and all the men who claimed that they were priests.
Wow.
And it's found that all these men have a common marker in their genes. That proves something that we already know. Through scientific research, through surnames, and through the priestly heritage, through our tradition, we found out who the priests are.
Wow.
So they can come in. Of course, we rely first on tradition and then on the scientific research. Now that's easy enough for the ordinary priests. Now when it came to the high priest, we have a problem because we don't know who the high priest is today. In the time of the Beit HaMikdash, in the time of the temple, the Sanhedrin, the highest court in Israel would choose the high priest. And today, we do not have a Sanhedrin, so we don't have a high priest, but we have prepared the garments.
I read that you're working to reestablish the Sanhedrin.
Yes, that's another one of our projects. It's made of 71 rabbis. It's a big project. It has to happen before the temple will be rebuilt. We'll have to have the Sanhedrin will be reconvened. It's again one of our projects, one of the many projects that we're working on.
Yeah, great. Oh, that's beautiful. Yeah, I think you guys sent me a postcard with this harp on it. Or what do you call this?
This is a harp.
It is called a harp. Okay, I got that right.
22 strings, whereas this one in the center, this large one, this lyre only has 10 strings. It can be a big lyre similar to the one in the center. Now, there are 22 letters in the Hebrew alphabet, and each letter represents a string, and the strings were the notes. For example, if the Levites wanted to play the word peace, they would sing the word peace, as well as strike the chords P, E, A, C, E. Here, I'm going to see if I can open this up for you.
Oh, great.
There's a family living on the suburb of Jerusalem, and they enjoyed playing harps and making harps, and they decided to use their talent and make harps for the temple. So these are the harps that will be used in the third temple.
Wow. And am I allowed to do that, what you just did? Can I
yeah, for sure.
strum it?
There's
Yeah,
a video
awesome.
of you doing it.
Yeah, sure.
There we go.
It's already filming, so.
Okay.
So strumming the harp. Oh,
Here we go.
It'll be used in the third temple. It was so much more beautiful when you did it. So.
Oh, I don't know. Well, behind the hall, we have the holy. In the holiest of three vessels, we have the table of showbread, the altar of incense, and the golden 7-branched candelabrum. Behind those vessels was the veil. You can see a small marble wall on top.
On top?
That was where the veil was. It's not in the second temple, but that's where the veil was. And behind that veil was the Holy of Holies. Now in the Holy of Holies, we have the Ark of the Covenant. Now the Ark of the Covenant only stood in the first temple. In the second temple, there was darkness. It was empty. When the first temple was destroyed, King Josiah, who was the king at the time, well, he foresaw the destruction, and he didn't want the holiest vessel of all, the Ark of the Covenant, to be in the hands of the enemy, the Babylonians. So instead, he dug under the Temple Mount and buried the Ark of the Covenant there. But when Ezra and Nehemiah returned to Zion 70 years later to rebuild the second temple, they did not retrieve the Ark of the Covenant. And in the second temple, we have no Ark of the Covenant. Now, you asked earlier about the Ark of the Covenant?
Yes.
That's okay. We have not tried to rebuild the Ark of the Covenant. You think it would be on the top of our list, the holiest vessel. But no, we have not built it for two reasons. The first one is that we still believe that the Ark of the Covenant is under the Temple Mount where King Josiah originally buried it. When the day that we have access to dig underneath, we have access to the Temple Mount, we can dig underneath and find it again. The second reason is that the Ark of the Covenant, really all that it is the box. If we wanted to, we can make the box. It's written in the Bible, the dimensions, the decorations, the size, everything, the materials. If we wanted to, we can make that. What we can't make is what's inside the Ark of the Covenant. The 2 tablets that Moses was given on Mount Sinai, the Torah scroll that he had written. Those items we can't recreate. If we can't have the items on the inside, do we really need the box or the container, otherwise known as the Ark of the Covenant? That's why you have not tried to rebuild the Ark of the Covenant.
So this is the golden menorah that the Temple Institute has crafted, and Atara today mentioned it in my visit with her that this is the one thing that the Institute has put on public display. They want to make sure everybody can see this and enjoy it. And I just saw a tour going on here, and I couldn't understand what the gentleman was saying, but I heard him mention something about the temple being rebuilt and that this will be used in the third temple. So good stuff. It's my first Jewish food. Fantastic. What's this called?
What?
What is this?
Shawarma.
Shalama?
Shawarma.
Shawarma. Shawarma. Okay. Oh, there's a new cooking, but food spot here. I'm waiting for my tour of the Western Wall tunnels to start in about an hour. And I mentioned them earlier during my little talk down at the Western Wall. For about 1,400 years, the Western Wall was the only exposed portion of the original Temple Mount structure from the time of King Herod, the Second Temple period. That was when the temple was standing in Jesus' day. Within our lifetime, just in the last 20 years, in fact, 2 other major excavations have taken place, and I'm going to tour one in just a little bit here. Super excited. We go underground to what was the street level during that time. 2 things I want to mention before the tour starts, in case it doesn't come up on the tour or I can't bring it up or whatever. One is that I guess we're going to see big boulders that have fallen down to the Roman street level, and shattered the street. And the boulders, archaeologists say, are from 70 AD when the Romans invaded Jerusalem and destroyed the Second Temple, which is in line with Jesus' prophecy in Matthew 24 that he said, you know, do you see these stones? Not one will be left upon another. And that's where he begins his great end times dissertation. So excited to see those big rocks in the broken street. You know, really lines up with my favorite part of Scripture. The second thing, which is also very compelling, during the tour, we're going to see what's called Warren's Gate, and it's sealed now. We're going to see there is a wall, but this is considered the holiest gate because it faces where the Holy of Holies was in the temple, and it points basically directly toward where the Dome of the Rock now stands. In 1981, 3 rabbis did an illegal excavation in Warren's Gate. They tunneled in and got back almost as far as where the temple had stood, and they claimed to have discovered the location of the Ark of the Covenant. They didn't claim to have seen the Ark, but they do say that they definitely know where the Ark of the Covenant is hidden, and they'll be able to recover it when the third temple is built. The names of the rabbis, by the way, were Rabbi Yehuda Getz. He was the chief rabbi of the Western Wall at the time, and Rabbi Shlomo Goren, who was the chief rabbi of Israel. So these were pretty legitimate guys. The discovery, when they reported it, sparked violent riot between Jews and Arabs. The Israeli police did not react well. They went down there and immediately sealed up the wall. So it sounds like everybody was taking the discovery seriously. And if it is there, it's still there. So tonight we will see Warren's Gate, and I'm excited. More fun.
How are you? Good?
I'm good. How are you? Good. Today.
Many visitors come here, look outside at the Western Wall, and say, wow, a remnant of the temple building. But as you can see, the temple stood on top of the platform, and here we are, Western Wall on the edge. The Second Temple was destroyed by the Romans. We'll remove it, and periods come and go until the early Muslims reached Jerusalem. The early Muslims built the Dome of the Rock over Mount Moriah in the same exact place as the first 2 temples. Here sits the Golden Dome today. So for our tour tonight, we have just entered from the south. We are now standing right here inside our model. We are now going to walk eastward underneath the Muslim structures till we reach the Western Wall underground. Our tour tonight takes us back in a time capsule. We are actually going back in time 2,000 years of history, and we begin our journey to the past in just a few minutes through the doorway just ahead.
It's the Western Wall here. It's actual Temple Mount structure. Yeah, I wonder why we didn't stop here. This is what I was most interested in seeing.
What's the connection to Warren's Gate?
Oh, there's a story that she mentioned Rabbi Yehuda Getz.
Yeah.
That he and another Rabbi Goren, tunneled through here in 1981 and discovered the chamber that holds the Ark of the Covenant. So now you're on my video, looking incredulous. That's the story. I'm gonna ask her. Right now I'm walking along the entire western wall that's been excavated here, and so this is the actual Temple Mount structure from the time of Jesus and the Second Temple period. Only publicly accessible since 1996, I believe. So, pretty amazing. Traffic jam, great.
I don't remember that.
We went through the long narrow down here where the people were praying, and that was at the end.
Tight squeeze. Open up. Find our group. Wow.
So by day, we go up and we go out, and we have a 7-minute walk through the Arab Bazaar back to the Western Wall Plaza. At night, for security, the Ministry of Tourism does not allow us to go out, and that's why you see all the groups heading back, and in a few minutes, we'll be heading back in that same way. Before we head back, I would like to just say a last few words. For many of you, it's your first time in the tunnel. So, when you go back outside, the Western Wall will never look like a rectangle again. We see the entire length of the wall, all the way to the north, and we can visualize the structure of the Second Temple right on top. In Hebrew, we have a short saying, Hurei B'tuv Yerushalayim. You should see the beauty of Jerusalem. This is a tour where you can see the beauty of all the ancient stones, and the more we dig here, the more we reveal that beauty to the public at large. I always like to say that this area is a big diamond. The more you chisel a diamond, the more it sparkles. And the more we dig here, the more we learn about history, and that is our diamond. That's the diamond that we're looking for. So I thank you all for coming, and in Hebrew we say Lehitraot till we meet again.
Lehitraot.
And we're going to see everything a second time. It's better.
Awesome.
Here we go.
Is she taking going the other direction?
No, she's going back. You have to go back.
So when are we going to try
Go ahead, please.
What it does do is this is a nice view of the rest of the world.
Good night. Thanks for coming.
Hey,
Enjoy your stay here.
I was going
Thanks
to
for coming.
ask you, but you probably want to say goodbye to everybody before.
It's an amazing place here.
Thank you.
If you want to say goodbye to all the guests, I can wait.
Have to run, but
Oh, okay, real quick. We didn't talk about the reason that Warren's Gate is sealed off. Is that something that we'd rather not
that it's not
discuss?
sealed off?
That Warren's Gate is sealed off. The reason that the
that
wall's
it's sealed
there.
off. It's sealed off because about 20 years ago, the previous rabbi of the Western Wall knew that if he digs in that area underground, he could find treasures.
What kind of treasures?
And, maybe hidden vessels from the temple. It's known that they were hidden. So he started to dig, but the Arabs on top of the Temple Mount blocked the area, and there's no access to the underground areas.
Okay, because
Yeah, thanks for coming. Okay, have a good stay. Bye-bye.
yeah, I heard that.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, that was awesome. It's amazing here.
Thanks very much.
I heard that Rabbi Goren and Rabbi Getz were down there together, and they claim to discover the chamber where the Ark of the Covenant is held. Do you know anything about that, or you think that's just goofy rumor and
There's a lot
not
of
true at all?
rumors. There's a lot of
okay.
stories.
You know, internet stuff,
Lots
right?
and lots
yeah.
of rumors.
Okay.
But Rabbi Getz was
you for
involved.
that.
Thanks for coming. So Rabbi Getz was involved with some digging, but they didn't
Yeah.
get very far. They dug in maybe 3 meters.
Oh, that's all? Wow.
They just
Okay.
dug in a bit.
Yeah. So
there's
everything
no
else just
ways. No,
stories.
it hasn't. No.
Okay. Yeah. Just wondering.
Yeah. No,
It-
there's so many stories. I could write a book about it.
yeah. Interesting. Story
Yeah.
anyway. So okay. Good.
Yeah.